Chapter 34. Mary is pleasantly surprised, almost shocked, when Morley opens the door. He's a very distinguished and prosperous-looking man. Well, shiver my timbers, it's Warble McGorkle and some dame. How are you doing, you old salt? You finally came to see your old captain. I'd just about given up on you. Morley, this is my wife, Mary. Nice to meet you, young lady, Morley says, extending his hand. After shaking hands with Mary, he turns to Warble and says in a stage whisper, That's a fine-looking catch you've got there, Warble, old salt. I bet you were merry when you married Mary, weren't you? What? Oh, yes, Captain, indeed I was. Well, don't just stand there on the porch, Morley teases and steps aside. Come on in, the little woman is around here somewhere. I want you to meet her, Mary. Leslie comes into the room when she hears the voices. After a quick introduction, the two couples sit on the couch. Soon, two separate conversations are in progress. Warble and Morley reminisce about their days at sea, while Mary and Leslie discuss the relative merits of Butterick versus Simplicity and whether the Fed should raise, lower, or stand pat on the interest rate. After a couple of hours, Warble notices the time and tells Mary they should be going. She nods to him but continues her conversation with Leslie. As Warble rises to leave, Morley jumps to his feet and exclaims, I've got it! I just thought of something, Warble, old salt. I need someone down at the office to be my first mate, to man the hurricane deck as well as the crow's nest, so to speak, to get things all ship-shape and Bristol fashion. Doing what? Warble asks. He's a little leery, but at the same time curious. Just this and that. Facilitating things for me, interviewing potential new hires, firing the deadwood and the old people getting near retirement age. We can't have their pensions on the books, you know. The stockholders don't like things like that. I need someone like you, Warble, someone I can rely on to do whatever needs doing. Your title will be Special Assistant to Mr. Morley. Well, Warble says, not overly enthused, but a little intrigued at the prospect of being able to fire people. Mary gives him a very, how to describe it, intense look, and Warble knows his life will be Dallas all the way home if he doesn't accept the job. He turns to his old captain, trying his best to look as go-getterish as possible, and says resolutely, You've got your man, Captain. I'll take the job, and thanks to ye. I'm beholden to ye. Fine, it's settled then, old salt. Meet me here at 7:30 in the morning, and you can ride with me into the office. I'll show you around, introduce you to people, and show you the ropes. Now go home and get some rest. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, Warble says as he and Mary take their leave. The women part on equal terms. The men had been more or less on equal terms at the start of the visit. Morley had been Warble's captain on ship, but that was a thing and relationship of the past. But are on equal terms no longer. Morley is Warble's boss now, and so Warble is his subordinate. Warble is of two minds about his change of circumstance. On the one hand, he's happy to have a reliable and steady source of income, albeit not an overly large one. But on the other hand, it grates on him to be no longer his own master, but rather under the thumb of another man. Oh well, he can take his frustrations out on the poor saps he will get to fire. Now that's something to look forward to. Warble is again silent on the train, silent by Warble standards anyway. He can't see himself as Morley's right-hand man 20 years down the road, or even 10 or 5, but he doesn't have another plan at the moment, so he will just have to accept his lot and make the best of it. Warble decides to just take it a day at a time and have as much fun with it as possible, while keeping an eye open and an ear to the ground. Another great opportunity will surely come his way sooner or later, and perhaps, like Alan Funt's victims on candid camera, when he least expects it. By the time the McGorkles get back to Brooklyn Heights and disembark at High Street, Warble is resigned to his situation and resolved to play it for all it's worth. Let's celebrate, he suggests to Mary as they walk the few blocks toward their hotel. There's a good pizza place just around the corner on Henry Street. Can you smell it? She can. It smells good, enticing. In fact, almost irresistible. Biscotti Pizza makes their product the old-fashioned way. They throw the dough in the air, knead it with their fists as they move it along counterclockwise in their hands, hurl it again into the air, then whirl it around in the other direction, again and again until it's ready to go into the oven. There's nothing like good pizza washed down with beer to cap off an exciting and exhausting day. Warble had wanted to show Mary the promenade adjacent to Columbia Heights with a view of the Manhattan skyline and the Brooklyn Bridge, not to mention the less picturesque Manhattan and Verrazano Narrows bridges, but is now too tired to do so and is barely able to drag himself back to the Hotel Bossert. The 5 beers he drank may be partly responsible for this. When they get to their room, Warble and Mary quickly fall into a deep sleep, undisturbed by worries, misgivings, or a guilty conscience. Well, collectively, that can be said of them anyway, for Warble has neither of the first 2 maladies mentioned, and Mary isn't suffering from the last one.